regular meeting of the King George County Service Authority Board of Directors to order. We will begin with an invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. If you can stand, please do so. Lord, we ask for your guidance this evening as we discuss the business of the Service Authority. Help us to make decisions that benefit our fellow man and our environment. Amen. Ms. Cleveland, I understand you're on remotely.
Yes. Hello. Good afternoon.
Hi. Just for the record, need you to state name, that you're attending remotely and your location, please.
This is Carrie Cleveland. I am attending this conference or this board meeting remotely because I am out of town on a family vacation in Honduras.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Miller, do we have any amendments to the agenda?
No, sir.
Okay, moving on to public comment. Do we have anybody in the audience that wishes to speak this evening? Okay, Mr. Dines, do we have anybody online?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, report for board members. Ms. Cleveland, we'll start with you.
No report.
Thank you. Ms. Bender?
The only thing I have, I want to thank Mr. Miller and his team, Mr. Eisenreich, for helping out a citizen who called me on the phone that had their, there was a miscommunication on a bill being played and they had their water cut off, and your staff was able to get the water back on and get the family their water. So I want to thank you and your staff for doing that. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Mr. Parker?
No report.
Thank you. Ms. Kupka?
No report.
Thank you. And I have nothing this evening. Okay, moving on to consent agenda.
Motion to accept the consent agenda is written.
Second.
Motion's been made in second. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Ms. Cleveland? And
Aye.
thank you. And the chair votes aye. Motion carries. Moving on to report from the county attorney, Ms. Lackey.
Just have a brief update for those who are not aware. Birchwood Power Partners requested withdrawal of their application from the Planning Commission, which was granted by the Planning Commission last night. So given that turn of events, I imagine that there will be no further discussion of the MOU at this point in time. That might be something that gets taken up again in the future, but I don't expect any near-term action on that.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay. Moving on, presentations and report. Financial with Ms. Hahn. Good evening, Ms. Hahn.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. For the financial report, these numbers are preliminary as of November 9th when I prepared it. So there probably is revenue that just hadn't posted at that time that will be posted at a later date, and we'll see that reflected. Hopefully the audit will be finalizing very soon. We're supposed to be getting some final information for some adjustments from our auditors sometime this week, and then shortly thereafter we should be able to close the books and we'll have a more accurate financial report for you. So for the month of September, as of November 9th, there were $270,070 received in revenue for a total for the year so far $1,382,184, and total expenditures for the month of September $563,047 for a total for the year $1,076,000 and 93. And of course, like I said, this is unaudited and is subject to change.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Ms. Hahn? Okay, thank you, Ms. Hahn.
Thank you.
Maintenance report on the Dahlgren plant.
If I could just do just a brief intro, we've got John Eisenbeis, our maintenance and operations manager, and we have our lead operator for wastewater, Michael Whitman. And I think what we wanted to talk about, I'm sure John may have some other maintenance updates. If you want to do that, you can do that. But the real feature of this was to talk about some of the work that the crews did over the last probably a week and a half, I guess, is what the length of time was, leading into kind of the start of kind of the middle of last week at the Dahlgren plant, and very critical work that was done. And it's just really kind of fascinating what they were able to do. We had some equipment that is part of the system that was so caked with sludge that we were having flow issues, and that was affecting nitrogen and levels and things like that. Probably Michael can do a better justice in terms of what was happening and what was affecting the plant, but it is something that they were able to jump on and get that worked out. So I think John wanted to kind of give you an overview of what they did. And did you get the count of the number of tons of sludge that we actually cleaned up?
We call this the IFAS system. There's actually 10 filters in a ditch. Go to the next one. This is what a new filter looks like when they were put in. It's approximately 8 feet tall, 6 feet square, weighs 2,000 pounds. It benefits the treatment, and we weren't getting any treatment because there was absolutely nothing going through these filters. It was actually going around them. Leaves get in there, things from the plant, rags, they just get stopped up. And they have a filtration system on the bottom that runs air through them, which scours the trash out, which the air was no longer able to get through them, clean anything out. It's actually the media that's in there creates a biomass that allows more treatment in the ditch. That's why they was originally put in, to help nitrification. They haven't been able to treat the way they usually do because these things were clogged up and we can't get the flow through the plant. Everything hangs in these, which is good and bad, is the problem. So anything that falls in the ditch and then goes through into the ditch gets caught as well as the good stuff and grows. So once they're done, we're basically losing half a ditch out there. Go to the next one. We actually found a video, the original manufacturer had part of Dahlgren's installation in it, and you can show that video.
Has been in existence the way it is today since 2004, and it is an oxidation system. The plant has historically had problems meeting its total nitrogen effluent limits.
So what we had to do is to figure out what options are out there, improving technologies, and I foresee it enhanced it beyond what we expected. This is something that has tremendous implications and advantage for the facilities.
WebTap process employs a biowell has tiny, small filaments that stick out like the itself, or growth sites full of biomass.
Is the effluent wastewater nitrate-rich internal reservoirs begins to enter into the pre-anoxic portion of the oxidation ditch. The oxidation ditch is divided into two channels. To improve the velocity to a series of small swamps which are installed to force the wastewater into a WebTap bypass channel. Including the oxygen, it is here that the nitrified bacteria thrive at the speed of the textile, ensuring that nitrates are broken down and form gas. The second set of source groups usually located close to the WebTap bypass channel to continue the forward velocity of the oxidation ditch process.
This is very simple. That's one of the beauties of this barrier system. I foresee WebTap media is fixed.
Bioweb material is installed on the WebTap WebTech Frame is an integrated aeration system that serves three primary functions. One is to provide some oxygen to fire drones. The second is to provide a scour for the pilot. And the third is to really develop an airlift pump effect, so recirculation effect. And then we have the second process we have oxidation.
As the wastewater begins to enter the WebTat IFS channel, the WebTat's integrated aeration system begins to create a spiral mixing pattern generated by the in-place WebTat module. Here, influence upstream is recirculated through the WebTat modules at a high rate, ensuring constituents such as ammonia and BOD come into contact with the attached biofilm textile medium. It is here that nitrification performance is increased. Following the WebTat IFS process, a series of equations are used to continue the fluid velocity in the oxidation gauge process.
The WebTech system itself arrives on site. So each required brakes and reliable materials are installed. So it's really as simple as a plug-and-play system. The contractor can put the WebTech units off the truck and drop them literally straight into the basin.
The installation of the IFAS units is really quite simple. Actually, the units were lifted up, placed in the ditch, process.
In terms of oxidation ditch retrofit processes, the WebTech process is in terms of having to retrofit change air conditions and processes like that. Really don't have to.
Overall, I foresee
Like I said, each filter weighed 2,000 pounds, clean and dry, brand new. They're 8 feet tall, 6 feet square. There's 10 of them. It's made of a biomesh media. That first one you're seeing right there, which is the first one the treatment hits, when we pull it out, it weighed 14,600 pounds. And the rest of the series was from 11 to 10,500 pounds. You can go to the next one. You can see the containment area we built to keep everything from washing it. The cranes in the background, we basically had to hold them up, wash it out. Approximately 3 to 4 hours each filter to clean out, and another hour on the bottom. And then we can set it back in. And it had to be done in a series of each one at a time. So we had to alternate because you can't fit them back in. You have to take one out, take the second one out, fit one back in, fit the next one back in, and so on. It was some long days, real long days. Go to the next one. There's a clean and a dirty one with the containment. We have a pump truck running full time, trying to keep that containment pumped out, which is about 7 loads a day, 3,500 gallons of all the rags, sludge, and trash that came out of them, which was just about everything. Right. There's Mike himself right there on the bottom, inspecting one. Mike did a great job keeping everybody going. It was a lot of work for everybody, but all of our full staff was there, plus 6 wastewater operators to do all this, with the pump truck driver, the crane operator. Once we did get them back in, we had to use the excavator to reposition them because we couldn't stop the flow of the ditch. So we actually had to use the excavator to get them back into place, which I don't think the manufacturer actually came to witness us take them out. This has only been done one other time that he knows of, being taken out and cleaned. And he was amazed at what we did. Any questions, comments?
Have we seen an improvement in our numbers and stuff since we? Okay, good.
We actually have flow now through them, and the manufacturer is going to come back out, make sure all our timings are correct for the scour system, and then what we can do to keep it cleaner.
Okay.
And Doug Smith, who's with Imboden, and I should point out that Imboden was very much, their team was a part of the work as well, and they were there most of the time. Doug is basically the resident Imboden employee who's here, and he indicated to me today that what's known as the nitrogen levels are coming down, and that's a good thing. So I think this has had a good effect, but yeah.
I got several questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is this from these sludge filters that were there? Were they originally put in the 2017 timeframe?
It was 2015 they were put in.
2015? And are they supposed to, is there a reason why they had to be cleaned? As you mentioned, it hasn't been done one other time.
It was actually other issues in the plant from screening the original rags and such out. We're getting through into the plant, and then just basically not keeping them clean.
Okay, so now we have a plan to make sure that we don't have to do it again?
Yeah.
Or at least that's the theory that it's, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? No? Okay. The wastewater operator RFQ.
Yes, at the last meeting, I had hoped that we would, I had indicated we hoped we would have you something ready to go on this meeting to be presented. Unfortunately, we didn't get to do the interviews with Imboden until yesterday. We had the other interview with the other company on last Thursday, I believe. And so what we'll do now, we're going to look at their cost proposals. We're meeting tomorrow as a staff, the team that's a part of this, and then plan that I have is to get it to you on the 6th of December. And that does, it does have a lot of relationship to our discussions that we're having with the Department of Environmental Quality on the proposed consent order. And so we're also hoping to bring something to them based on where things are at the next step. So we're trying to move this along. I think we just ran into some scheduling problems last week, but we should be able to have something for you on the 6th of December.
Any questions? Okay, any items for discussion? Okay, moving on to the general manager's report. Mr. Miller.
All right, so it looks like the only thing that I have that specifically on there is just a to-do list updates. So at your desk, and we will forward this to Miss Cleveland. But the updates are again in red. I would just point out, based on information that Miss Norris Barker provided, the meter readouts or the change outs are taking place throughout the system. And as you know, we're targeting certain neighborhoods and then just, working through those neighborhoods like Hop Yard and Oakland Park. The project's on track. We've got approximately 1,871 new meters have been read or have been installed, and they're sending reads to the system. And as Ms. Norris Barker indicated, this is going to shave off 9 days of what's usually a 17-day process. So this is definitely going to pay for itself. And John, is there anything to add to that? Or, we're not having any issues. Their contractors able to do what they need to do. And okay. The next item is just the wastewater project grants. So we are providing, I think I indicated this before, we're doing scoping for some projects. We're working with our current operator Imboden, with staff, and then obviously with the projects that we've identified in the CIP to make sure that we're capturing everything, because as the engineer that we're working with from TRC, Mr. Randall, has indicated that the DEQ is open to whatever's related to wastewater. And so you don't necessarily need to have the items that we had asked for, although we still will push to get those in. But, we're also finding this is the opportunity to do some other things. I know Miss Bender, Board Member Bender, had asked about the other grant Mr. Cusenberry is looking more seriously at that. I think that the initial thought was there might not be anything for us. And so we are going to look at possibly like the Ralph Bunch building. I think that's one of the possibilities of the drain field that they have and what we could do with the septic system there. And is that something that we could do? But that is a project that we are going to consider. I just need to get with Mr. Cusenberry to just kind of wrap that up. The Canterbury subdivision observation well, for anybody who is in that area, no, Ms. Bender, I think you are. So as you know, we had to drill an observation well. This is a DEQ requirement, VDH requirement. And so the transducers are being connected to the 3 wells that are already there. And then they'll start doing the testing, and they should be done in a month. So that project is certainly coming along. Let's see, Payne well upgrade, which is, I'm sorry, this is in such small print. It's the only way we can get it. But under the Payne well, which is number 12, the contractor will begin replacing the pump and piping. They're doing they're swabbing the pipes, I guess, right now. So that's the process that they're involved in, and they'll be getting that done fairly soon. I think we mentioned, and we obviously awarded the bid for the Fairview Beach outfall. The contract was awarded to Maverick Construction, and then the decommissioning of the Dahlgren Sludge Pond that contract was awarded to Johnston Construction. I don't know if they've started yet. Michael, they haven't started yet on taking out the sludge pond, the second sludge pond. Okay. So that's an update on some of the projects. And I guess the one thing I would just point out, Ms. Bender was mentioning the customer that had an issue with the water. I would just want to stress that turnoffs happen during the day, and then after 3:00 p.m. We usually tell people that you're not going to get turned on after 3. I mean, you're gonna have to wait till the next day because it's the ability to get staff out there. So if something happens, get them there, get them to us early, and we'll work things out with them. And this was one of those situations where I think she had paid the bill, but it didn't show up in the system for past 3. And so then it was, okay, let's get this done. And sure enough, everything was all fine, but we appreciate you letting us know that somebody needed some help. So, Ms. Lackey was indicating the status of the Birchwood application, and I would just say this: I know that we still are very interested in their water, and we will approach them because their permit, I believe, needs to be upgraded, and I believe that there is some relevance to the fact that the Department of Environmental Quality is going to look towards them as a possibility of a resource for us. So that is still very much alive. And I do think it's important to note that while the Birchwood application for what they were trying to do with the rezoning and all that, the water was an important element of it, but it was an intentional action to keep it separate from that development so that it was a carve out so that our needs would be guaranteed. And that's why we were pursuing the memorandum of understanding. But nonetheless, there's that opportunity. I will tell you this, we had discussions with Caroline County last week, myself and Mr. Cusenberry with the Public Utilities Director. And they are very much still moving forward with their plan. They indicated that that their recommendation to us would be is if we want to continue to be a part of it, they've got the capacity that's inclusive of our needs. So I don't think that there's anything that, like, if we joined at the last minute, it would cause a problem for them. But they indicated they're about 80% complete on all the testing and the analysis that they have to do to satisfy the folks at DEQ and all the other agencies that are involved. I think that the Public Utilities Director said that their biggest hurdle is VIMS. And so that's who they're trying to work through. There's issues with the phytoplankton that was on the shoreline. And so they have to do a study on that because it's where they lay their eggs and all that kind of stuff. And it's where they would be doing an intake could possibly be affecting that. So there's complications, but I think they feel that they're on track to do what they need to do. We indicated our desire would obviously be is if they had whatever intake, then we would have something that would then take it to Hop Yard, which would be the place to bring it. It's the closest to where their intake is. It's probably roughly two miles away from their intake. So, or proposed intake. So again, you all had a presentation, I think maybe a year or two ago. And so still something that we can definitely pursue. I will also tell you that the week after Thanksgiving, myself and Travis and our engineers from TRC, Mike Haggerty, are going to meet with Department of Environmental Quality. I think Mr. Morris may try to join us if he can. It's a Wednesday meeting in Richmond. And we're going to talk about the transition to surface water, but also, what's their timeline? What's their, what are we going to butt up against? Because I think it's relevant to the pacing and what we pursue. So we'll definitely have an update at the next meeting to provide to you. That's it.
Any questions from Mr. Miller? Okay. And
Oh, I'm sorry. And then we have employees. I'm very sorry. We have Dee Pritchett, who's a wastewater treatment operator, 16 years with us, and then Dean Hoagland, 5 years with us. So November anniversaries. Thanks.
excellent. Okay. Okay. Perfect.
Motion to adjourn to December 6, 2022 at 5:30 PM here in the boardroom.
Motion's been made in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Cleveland?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. We are adjourned until December 16th, 2022 at 5:30 PM here in the boardroom. Thank you, Ms. Cleveland.